I know what you want. You want to see the movie.
Okay, well, we're recording.
We're good? Oh, how long have we been recording?
I don't want to keep looking.
Talking about our D&D. You don't want to look at Anthony's condom on the table?
No, I don't.
Cheap ass went with skin.
Skin
with a Y. I'm so glad he's not here, because as soon as we're done recording, I'm going to do a glowworm on his bed. Let me explain a glowworm. I strip down, right, completely, bare ass naked, get on his bed, roll up in his blankets real tight, and just let my, juices go out into his sheets.
Just marinate in his sheets?
Marinate in his sheets real tight. Call it the glowworm.
I like that.
I don't like the use of the term marinate.
I think that's perfect.
So, Anthony's not here today. So, we have the two Uges.
Utes?
Nick and me, Brandon, and we have Raquel sitting in for Anthony.
Hello.
I didn't get to do my name. We have to go around the table.
We haven't officially started yet. This is still the cold open.
I had a good one worked up. All right, go ahead. Hold
Okay,
open.
so Anthony's not here. He said something about having to go to a rally or something.
Yeah, I don't know. But that's why I was confused, because all of his white sheets are gone from his bed, so I'm going to just have to use his comforter.
Yeah, some fresh blue ones.
Yeah, he's been pretty stressed out trying to get those
Didn't
clean.
he have tiki torches in here, too?
Yeah,
I don't
he
see
did.
those anymore.
Yeah.
He bought a lot of tiki torches lately, and I'm just now putting it together, that seems... I mean, the pieces are coming together.
Right.
Is Anthony racist?
I don't know.
He did tell me that we watched his favorite blackface movie today.
Oh.
That seems pretty on the nose.
Yeah, he was really upset about missing this movie.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense.
I mean, he has a lot.
Yeah.
Like, he has
a list
He had
of
a whole
blackface
fucking
movies.
list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
And this was at the top.
Weird.
Yeah.
And, I mean, now that I think about it, when he left, I think yesterday, he said, as he was closing the door, he said, bye, N-word.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wait, did he say N-word? Or
No. He did not. I'm not going to repeat what he said,
Right.
because I'm a gentleman, and
Of course.
it's the 21st
A
century.
gentleman and a scholar. He wouldn't say such things.
He said, all right, bye, N-word, and he closed the door.
Was it a soft A or a hard R?
It was a hard R.
R?
It's always a hard R with Anthony.
It was a hard R.
Yeah.
It was like getting hit by a truck
he
hard.
spat it out?
Yeah.
It's like he purposely emphasizes the R. Like, he definitely draws it out.
Just, Urgh.
No, he wants you to
growls
know
with
what
it.
he's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wants it to be 100% clear. He's not doing the soft A.
Right.
there.
He's not doing the,
He wants you to know.
Yeah, right.
The
He's not doing the hip hop version.
No,
right.
no.
This is the...
This is the American History X.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And
rough.
This might be a conversation for off the podcast, but
Okay.
I think I need to hide his copy of American History X.
Yeah.
Because he just watches that curb stomp scene over and over.
Just over.
And he's like clapping and saying, "Yeah, I like this."
Yeah. He made a boomerang of it on his phone so he could just watch the foot coming down and back over and over again.
Yeah, and
Sending me his TikTok videos where he dubs over it.
Yeah, he's doing both the voices.
Yeah.
He redoes.
That's disturbing.
He redoes the teeth scratch on the sidewalk, and it's just like.
So really, he's just practicing for his career as a Foley artist, is what you're telling me.
I mean, I guess
is it viable? Does it sound like the teeth on the concrete, or is it just him going like?
No, it's just him whispering the N-word.
Oh, yeah. So it sounds nothing like the teeth on the concrete.
No.
Okay,
It's just
rough,
real hard R's.
Rough.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I think we have to have a conversation with him, but that seems like a conversation for not recording.
Right.
Yeah.
And speaking of uncomfortable race things,
Yep.
we watched Forbidden Zone, Richard Elfman's 1980 movie Forbidden Zone.
Yes, we did.
And this is the Real Obscure Podcast. I am Brandon, Talking Pie Freeze.
I am Nick, Rock Me Amadeus.
And I am Raquel back again. The fill-in, which seems to happen pretty often.
Yeah. For once, it's not me.
It is. This is my first time meeting Nick.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Very first time.
Yeah, and the tension in here is palpable.
Well, did you listen to the last episode?
To the last episode?
Yeah.
I missed that one.
Okay, then never mind. Then we're good.
What? Wait.
No, we don't have to.
No.
I may have called you a monster and a usurper trying to take my stool at the table. I may have said that.
Well, I mean, that's just factual.
True. That's just true. Yeah, that's true. Oh, shit. All right.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, yeah, I'm going to lay my cards on the table right now. I fucking love this movie.
I had the precursor to seeing this movie was that I heard Anthony tell me that you love this movie. Like, love it.
Which
I find a little questionable.
Listen.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear.
Having seen it freshly about 7 hours ago for the first time.
Mm-hmm. So, okay. Listen. Everyone shut up.
No.
All right, okay. No, shut up.
This movie opens with a title card on this. First of all, the aesthetic of this movie is just like Dr. Caligari.
Yes.
The
aesthetic. It's a, like, black box theater.
Yeah.
It's a black box theater with, like, fucking cardboard standees.
Yeah, very...
Which
very
I can dig.
Sure.
I liked Caligari.
Yeah. It's very purposefully artificial looking.
Right.
Yes.
So it opens up on a title card. Friday, April 17th, 4 p.m. Venice, California. Huckleberry P. Jones, local pimp, narcotics peddler, and slumlord, was seen entering a vacant house that he owned while stashing some heroin in the basement. He stumbled upon a mysterious door. Naturally, he entered. And that's how this movie starts.
Naturally.
Yes. And that never comes up again.
No.
Yeah, he shows up again.
Well, he shows up, but this
whole scenario
that never comes up again.
No,
and so
I find it interesting because you see Huckleberry. What was his name? Huckleberry Jones. You see him come out of the house. Mm-hmm. It is a gentleman in blackface. Mm-hmm. Speaking very racistly. I guess you can't be a gentleman in blackface. That's kind of a man in blackface. Yeah. And he comes out and he's talking like the Crows from Song of the South.
It's true. It's true.
And
it's true. He's like, "Get me out of here!" Whoa!
And then he disappears.
That's how you start the movie.
That is how this movie starts. And listen,
hold on, real quick, because he went into the door and then he comes out of the house, so he went to the Forbidden Zone and then just came back.
Yeah, just left.
Which we learn later ain't something you can do, friend. You can't just go to the Forbidden Zone and then come back.
If you have the powers of Huckleberry P. Jones,
I guess.
You can do whatever you want.
I guess.
God, the name. The name.
But I think that's something interesting to talk about. This movie does have some very problematic things in it.
That's a bit of an understatement.
That being one of them, there is an abundance of blackface in this.
I wouldn't say an abundance. There's that guy, and
there's
then there's
more
some.
Than should exist.
Well, there should be none.
Yeah,
there should be zero blackface.
So one blackface is more blackface.
To be fair, you're defending it in this, and I'm probably gonna not.
I'm not defending
it, but you like this movie despite that.
Right.
And we've already talked about our next director dissection, and there's some of that, and I like those movies despite that. Yeah. So. It's a lot to unpack as far as a conversation of whether that necessarily makes it a bad movie right off the bat.
Yeah, I think it's. I like I said, I love this movie, but I can admit that the blackface is problematic.
Completely unnecessary.
Completely unnecessary.
And I don't want to keep referencing a show we haven't even recorded yet, but there's kind of a purpose for it in the later ones we're going to talk about. This just seems apropos of
I thought you were going to say that there was a purpose for it in this movie.
No.
Absolutely.
In this movie, there is no reason at all for it in this movie. Like, it's not a social commentary. No. It's not a message to the eye. It's just, there it is. It's just there.
For the sake of blackface.
Doing a little research.
That's Anthony's autobiography. For the sake of blackface. Zing!
Got him!
You can't defend yourself.
Doing some research about this movie, it was interesting because the way Richard Elfman described this movie is just he wanted to make a film about what he was doing with the Mystic Knights of Oingo Boingo. Mm. So this is essentially just their stage show in film form,
right?
Which their stage show was, outlandish and kind of push buttons with, which again, I'm not trying to forgive it or justify it.
Right.
But I think that context helps frame it a little more. But it's still
it's still, but it shouldn't have been in their stage show. Right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, this is a translation of their stage show. Well, then why was it in the stage show? Like,
there's an interesting interview with Matthew Bright, who's one of the stars and the co-writers of this movie, where he's saying, you know, I probably should have been reined in a little bit. This was
a little bit.
I got things got out of control a little bit with the writing of this.
Just a little bit.
A smidge. Got a little out of control.
Can I read the description for this movie on Amazon Prime? The 3-sentence long description. All right. Sexy Frenchie falls into an insane underworld ruled by a horny little king and his jealous queen. Chicken Boy comes to the rescue, only to have his head cut off by the soul-singing devil himself, played by Danny Elfman and the Mystic Knights of the Oingo Boingo. Frog butlers, topless princesses, and rioting school kids sing and dance in unforgettable musical numbers you will never forget. After seeing that movie, it's a 100% an accurate description of it.
Totally accurate.
Before watching the movie, having read that, I'm like, this is just Mad Lib. This is just a Mad Lib that you just threw shit at a topless princess and a frog.
Butler.
Boingo, boingo.
Frog Butler does sound like a Mad Lib.
It does sound like Mad Lib.
And that Frog Butler's name? Bust Rod.
Bust Rod. Yeah. Good old Bust.
Good old Bust.
So, I only know that because, and I'm sure it's in the title card, but the title card is insane itself.
Yeah.
But this movie, I don't even like watching movies with subtitles because it bothers me. I had to turn on the subtitles for this movie because I could not understand what anyone was saying.
Yeah.
Like 3 minutes in, I'm like, I don't know
I
what the fuck is going on. Yeah. And so at some point in time, the frog makes a noise, and it's like in parentheses, like
Bust Rod says this.
Yeah. And I'm like, Bust Rod?
As far as I'm concerned, Bust Rod is the hero of this movie.
Yeah. I'll agree with that. He's the best part.
He meets a tragic end, but he's the hero of this movie.
Did he meet a tragic end? I'm trying to
remember.
he
at the end he ran off the cliff into that.
Oh, right.
Spike pit.
So we go on to meet the Hercules family.
Real quick, I want to say my favorite part of this whole movie, beginning credits. That animation sequence with the music. I was like, I dig this. Yeah. I can get into this. Maybe this movie isn't as terrible as I remember it being because of this beginning credits sequence. It's wrong.
One thing we might be able to all agree on is the music is good.
Yeah, I mean it's Oingo Boingo for the most part.
Yeah.
No.
No.
You don't like the music?
No?
Just the music itself, I thought it was fine. The musical numbers, I did not think were good, except the one part of the movie that I did quite enjoy was Danny Elfman's Satan musical number. That was really good.
Yeah. So yeah, we go on to meet the Hercules family, which is kind of...
That's a whole experience right there.
A whole experience.
One of my only notes I took was the dinner scene encompasses why I don't like this movie. Everything about this scene is just unpleasant.
I mean, 2 minutes into that dinner scene, I'm like, I have to turn on the subtitle. I don't know what the fuck anyone is saying.
Well, also they're talking nonsense.
Yeah.
So it's like, not only is it hard to hear, but the nonsense has no context. So it's like, I can't...
Plus the way that they speak.
Yes.
It's like someone with the strongest accent you've ever heard speaking in gibberish, and you're trying to like decipher it.
And they're speaking into a bad microphone, so you can't. It's distorted, so you can't hear what they're saying.
Thank you very much for that delicious breakfast. It was absolument super. I'd like to chat with you longer. However, I regret that Flash and I have to hurry along to school. As I am a new student, I don't want to make a bad impression.
Yeah, the principal, Mr. Yolopin, sent out bulletins to all the classrooms, and he said if anybody's going to be late, they're going to be punished.
Oh, children, don't be late for school. And Flash, be sure you tie your grandfather up and check the knots real good. while he was sniffing around for food yesterday, he nearly wandered into the forbidden zone.
But yeah, this dinner scene is like the dinner scene from Texas Chainsaw. It's just madness.
Yep.
It's pure madness, and this leads to a musical number that kind of leads us into the Forbidden Zone, which I like. Bust Rod dancing, and then you have this big camera shot that kind of reveals all these screaming women on like spits and everything.
It was kind of cool because it's very classic musical.
Yeah.
Like where it's like they show all the characters and the setting, and that first number sets up the whole thing. And that's what a lot of musicals do. So yeah, that was cool, and it had a cool aesthetic, but
I think it would be if it wasn't so, like, viscerally uncomfortable to watch. Just the people, the family, the Hercules family, where you're just like,
just gross.
I just feel like I'm unclean now.
Yes.
I think one of the first things we see in the Hercules family, or the Hercules house, is Grandpa Hercules throwing up in...
Yes.
Yeah, he throws up in Flash's lap, right?
In Flash's lap.
Lap's like,
Yeah, he's like, ooh. And so Flash is kind of the protagonist, more or less, as much as he could be in this movie. And he is an elderly gentleman, but he's playing a kid-ish character.
Yeah, he's in a Boy Scout top with the propeller hat and boxers.
Yep.
And that's...
But he also sounds like a 60-year-old Jewish man.
Yes, very much.
From like the Bronx.
Yep. And So they're having dinner. They have this, like, don't go into the Forbidden Zone. It's dangerous there.
Yeah.
And then Flash Hercules is like, oh, we're late for school. Because he has to go to school.
After dinner.
After dinner.
All right.
And I guess his sister is Frenchie.
Yeah, Frenchie is his sister. And he keeps calling Grandpa... Is that his grandpa? Because he looks younger than the dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
just checking.
That's Grandpa.
That's Grandpa, and they have to tie him up.
Yeah.
They keep talking about having to tie up Grandpa so he doesn't like wander into the Forbidden Zone.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Just keeping everybody up to date with the activities of the Hercules family.
And the guy who played Grandpa, which I have his name here somewhere, he's credited as Hyman Diamond.
Sure.
He was a real estate partner with Richard Elfman because he sold houses to finance this movie when the original actor dropped out.
He sold houses to finance this movie. It's a unique approach.
How many houses do you need to sell?
Yeah, right.
I feel like one would be more than the budget of this movie.
I mean, there were like music rights and actors.
They did all the music. It's the Mystic Knights of the Oingo Boingo, isn't it? Oh, well, I guess they do have the...
stuff.
Yeah. That's true.
So, yeah, and also Frenchie is played by Richard Elfman's ex-wife. Where'd her name? Oh, Marie Pascal Elfman.
Did they divorce after this movie? Was this catalyst?
Can you tell me if Marie Pascal Elfman is actually French or not? Because
she is.
She is?
She is.
Okay.
I could not decide. I kept going back and forth if this was the worst French accent I've ever heard.
Or the best.
Or if she was actually French and just the worst actress I've ever seen.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I thought the same thing because it is like very stereotypical French.
Yeah.
But that's because it's actually French?
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw an interview with her where Richard Elfman was interviewing her just talking about the Forbidden Zone, and she's actually very, very French.
Okay. Okay. Good to know. That's a good question because I wanted to know too.
And I mean, I think it's worth noting that she is very pretty. I think so.
Yeah.
And she has a musical number that I find charming.
Yes.
Which one?
Which one's
The
charming?
one where she's singing in
What
the...
in this movie did you find charming?
He said all of it.
Let me finish!
He found all of it charming.
All right. I'll wait till the end.
The musical number where she's singing in the classroom. Where
Okay.
she has to introduce herself and it's just this French song and she's dancing around. It's I think it's fun. So, fuck you and fuck you.
All right.
Okay, you literally before when I came in the house when we started talking about this movie, you told me about how you thought this whole movie was charming.
Is that recorded anywhere?
Oh,
Good.
Oh, okay.
So it never happened.
There's certain
I'm sorry.
aspects
It was
that
just
if you found charming,
One particular musical number where all the black students sit at the back of the class.
They were the best part of that scene, to be perfectly
they
honest.
were.
They were awesome.
Yeah.
when what's his name? Little something, he shoots the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
he says a line I can't remember because I couldn't be bothered to write it down.
Yeah.
But it was pretty good.
They're playing cards in the back.
Yeah.
There's an argument they have,
and he shoots one of them, and he goes, "Well, he was cheating, teacher."
I
and
just had to do what needed to be done.
Yeah, and she's like, "Well, you're going to the principal." He goes, "I'm not going anywhere, you honking bitch." And that made me laugh, like legitimately.
And then they start having this gunfight in the middle of the class.
Mm-hmm.
The teacher has this machine gun.
And there's a whole cast of characters in this classroom, like the two dudes with pigtail wigs and rubber bands around their nose to pull it back. And
that happened.
That is, I don't, at least 10 times probably in the whole course of the movie, because there's multiple scenes where at their school, the entire frame is one of those two dudes in a blonde pigtail wig with a rubber band holding back their nose. The amount of times that you see those
noises.
Oh god.
Those two guys are the same, or the boxers.
Yeah, they're the boxers.
Yeah.
And those guys are they were a performance duo from England known as the Kipper Kids.
Cool.
Okay, I saw them credited.
Yeah.
That's all they did.
Just
that was their thing. It's the most British thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
I want to make sure you
Is it
hear
British
this.
or just
it's very British. It's very, very British. Like if you watch videos of their of their just doing their thing on their own, it's very, very,
very British.
It's very British.
Okay.
I don't like it, but it's very British.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I guess.
And
I call Python very British.
Yeah.
I call Faulty Towers very British. I call that stupid.
It's Python melted down into its base ore.
It's the bad Python melted down?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you beat Python over the head until it had a serious medical condition where the doctor was like, if you bump your head one more time, you will be brain dead for the rest of your life.
If they King of the Ants Monty Python...
then yeah, sure. Then that's what it would be like.
Until all they could do was.
Then yeah, sure.
Okay.
I'm
with you there.
That.
Now I see how it's British.
Yeah, you see.
Okay. You turned me around.
So the king, the Forbidden Zone takes place in the 6th dimension.
Sure.
And the king of the 6th dimension is Hervé Villechaize.
Yes.
Yes. Just doing his thing. Yeah.
That little man.
Yeah, it's King Fausto, and he's
heard that he was not a pleasant individual in real life.
No, not at all.
Like a very drunk, womanizing, not pleasant little man.
Yep.
So basically, the king in this
pretty close
movie.
to the king.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Except
or every man in this movie.
Yeah, pretty much every male.
Yeah.
And the queen is played by Susan Terrell,
who was great.
Who's great.
She's my
really
favorite
great.
part of the movie.
Yeah.
She's the best character in the movie.
She's the one that can act.
Yeah.
And
does it well.
I guess the way they got Hervé Villechaize was Richard Elfman was just begging Susan Tyrrell to be a part of this movie and just kind of like won her over. And she had been with Hervé Villechaize, like they had dated, and she kind of got him on board.
No.
So I thought that was interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
The two actual actors were...
Yeah, because like Hervé Villechaize is like, that guy was in a Bond movie. What is he doing? What is he
Right.
doing in this movie? He was on Fantasy Island.
Fantasy Island, yeah.
Well, I mean, the character of the queen, I mean, that's what I was also wondering. At the same time, like, you're too good for this movie. Why are you in this movie?
But that was kind of her bread and butter, those types of movies.
Yeah.
She was in Crybaby. She did a bunch of.
It's funny you mentioned Crybaby, because the way I described this movie to Megan is it's like the worst John Waters movie ever made that wasn't made by John Waters. And I already don't like John Waters movies. I love John Waters as a person. I want to be his best friend, but I don't like his movies.
This this is like a highbrow John Waters movie.
Conceptually.
No, I meant that the other way around. Right. I mean that John Waters movies seem highbrow
compared to this. Yes.
Yeah.
Female Trouble is a few steps above Forbidden Zone for me.
Well, I'll fight you both on that.
But... Right, we'll get to that. We'll box.
I'm in hell right now.
So dumb. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the story. Basically, this movie was shot as a series of musical performances, and they shot the family stuff and the story in quotes afterwards, just to kind of like make it
fill
a movie.
In the gaps. Yeah,
and so I think that kind of contributes to why this movie
is utter nonsense.
It's pretty utter nonsense.
Here's the thing that I found very puzzling, besides all of it, but it's that the musical numbers in this movie, besides the very first one, where it's like this narrative of the family telling Frenchie not to go down into the Forbidden Zone, all the musical numbers seem to be completely irrelevant to like the plot. I say plot very loosely.
The only one that really fits into the narrative is the Danny Elfman one.
Yeah.
Because he's
but
like,
even
bring me the princess.
What was that about? I mean, the whole Satan scene was kind of just thrown in there. It seemed like we want to give Danny Elfman
we want to make Danny Elfman the devil because he's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's just why that's there.
We need the biggest ham for this role in the world.
But even then...
I legitimately love that sequence with
that's
him
great.
as the devil. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And that actually has one of my favorite shots in the whole movie, when they're leading Squeeze It to the devil. And that big animated sequence as they're walking towards that big gateway and
where it says abandon all hope ye who enter here.
Yeah. I really I like the animation in this
love the animation in this movie. Again, very Pythonish. And I even wrote like animation, love it. Like it's great. It's just everything around it. Like there are pockets of goodness, and then everything else is just, what
nonsense. But, I mean, so even that one, which was great, doesn't really have anything, because this character of Satan is just thrown in at towards the end.
And I'm confused. Is he in the sixth dimension? Is hell in the sixth dimension, or is it a different dimension?
It's a bit...
I think, look, if we're trying to assign meaning, because when they first get to the sixth dimension, there's those doors, kind of like Nightmare Before Christmas.
The butt doors?
There's a bunch of doors.
Yeah.
And then each person goes through a different door.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's kind of what that's supposed to mean.
Okay. Just go to different realms,
I guess. Different realms in the sixth dimension.
Yeah. But then what are the other musical numbers? There's like Frenchie's French number at school, which is kind of just like...
the delightful classroom song.
Do a French thing. Yeah. And she's like, okay. And it's clearly not her voice singing the song.
Yeah.
And, okay, one thing about this movie that's very... Well, it's not strange in comparison to everything else. The mixing is horrible, because the sound that you have when people are just talking, it's such a clear cut between like when the music starts playing. When they're doing the musical numbers, it sounds like someone recorded it in the fucking kitchen. And like the microphone was down the hallway.
But part of me wonders if that's deliberate. Because if they're trying, they obviously know they're not making a good movie. Right. So are they just kind of like, well, let's double down and go with the weird?
Worse at some points.
Yeah.
Like, I noticeably, in the very first one, the Don't Go to the Forbidden Zone Frenchie number, and then Frenchie's French number, but some of the other ones sound better, which made me think it's not deliberate.
Well, that Don't Go to the Frenchie song is a Cab Calloway song from the 30s.
Okay.
So I think that was intentionally meant to be, because the Mystic Knight stage show was a lot of that old swing music.
Yeah.
And Danny Elfman actually played the devil in the stage show, and he did a bunch of Cab Calloway songs. So I think that part I think was intentional.
Okay, I can see that.
There were a couple parts like when he's doing the devil and stuff, and just kind of the overall aesthetic felt like an old school cartoon, like this black and white cartoon.
Yeah.
I think that's what they were going for.
It's almost like a Betty Boop cartoon,
right?
Like the weird one where she went to hell for some reason.
Yeah. Like, and that kind of came across. Like, I was like, okay, I see what you're doing. I don't know if you succeeded,
I don't know if it was
but I get
executed
what you're
well.
going
Yeah.
for.
So, I mean, trying to stick to the story, quote unquote. Frenchie goes to the Forbidden Zone. She gets captured by the Queen because she sees that King Fausto is enamored by her, also being French.
Because they're both French.
Yeah. And so...
naturally, as one did, oh, you're French, I'm French, let's fuck.
Yeah, sure.
That's what all us French people do. Is just we see another French person, we're like, yep.
Baguette, huh?
Gotta
Yep.
bang.
Baguette.
Yeah. Baguette.
Baguette. Oh, croissant.
Bicycle smoking? Sure. So Frenchie gets kidnapped and kind of hidden away. And then the Flash...
In dungeon number 63.
Yes.
I don't know why I remember that
Where
so much.
by note, the king keeps his favorite concubines.
Yeah, that was like
Yep.
a card.
Yeah.
Like it cuts to this
It was
card.
like, and the card said, by the way.
By the way.
This is where the king keeps his favorite concubines.
It's like while they were editing, like, oh shit, we didn't explain this.
we didn't explain 63.
But at the same time, it's like, did you need to?
Yeah, no.
Wasn't necessary to explain
not
it?
at all.
It is interesting the points they feel they need to expand on and
Yes.
the points they don't in
Yes.
this movie.
They're like completely backwards.
It's
Yeah.
just like they had a dartboard of things that everything that could be explained, and they had 3 darts.
Yep.
And they're like, okay, that one, that one,
63?
that one.
Yeah.
63, the king,
Yeah.
Concubine.
and Bust Rod.
Yeah. Well, they didn't even really explain Bust Rod at all.
No,
He was just
a
there. I mean, he's
frog
great.
butler.
A guy with a giant paper mache frog head.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm all for it.
And I actually think it was played by a woman, Jan Stewart Schwartz.
Okay.
Yeah.
It might be Jan.
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 Well,
Yeah.
like Jan Svankmajer, that's
yeah.
how you spell his name.
Yeah, like a tiny Swedish
yeah,
man.
yeah. Tiny Swedish man.
Just dancing, shucking and jiving as that frog. Oh,
Yeah.
it's my hero. My goddamn
You're
hero.
way too happy about this movie.
I
I know you do.
That's it.
So Flash Hercules, the old man is the schoolboy, and recruits Grandpa Hercules, to go help him retrieve Frenchie.
He tries to recruit Squeeze It / Chicken Boy, who I don't even... Have we mentioned Squeeze It yet?
We haven't mentioned Squeeze It.
The first time you see Squeeze It, you see people opening up the lid of a garbage can
Yeah.
and like kind of spitting
on him.
into it.
Yeah.
Spitting on him.
And
This
then
movie is so mean to this character.
yeah.
He's played by Matthew Bright, who we should mention directed one of our past movies, Freeway. He
Yep.
wrote and directed it.
And he co-wrote Forbidden Zone, and he co-starred in it. And I think watching this movie and seeing interviews with him really puts Freeway into context. Really puts the weirder stuff into context for Freeway. Because that guy, he seems fascinating, but he seems real weird. Real weird.
The thing, okay, so even in the description I read, the Amazon Prime description, they call him Chicken Boy, which they don't even get to that until probably more than halfway through the movie. They just refer to him as Squeeze It.
Yeah. There's we'll get to it, but there's a scene in this movie that is devastating. We'll get to it.
Will we, though? Because we just kind of keep... It's hard to stay on track with
Well,
this
I mean,
movie.
once you see that, I mean, really, you just call him Chicken Boy because he fucking sleeps with a bunch of chickens in his bed.
Well,
Yeah.
and he walks around like a chicken, but they never
But I didn't
mention-
understand that that's
Right.
what he was doing. I thought, because there's so many like shots where you just kind of see like his chest up to like his head,
And his
and then
shoulders
his
are-
shoulders are kind of bouncing up and down, but you can kind of see his arms. I thought he was just jacking off
Yeah.
the whole time.
The first time you see him, he's in the trash can, his shoulders are moving,
thought
and
he
they're
was
calling him
jacking
Squeeze
off.
It.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is a jerk-off
He's
character.
just in the trash can jerking it.
They named him Johnny Jerk-Off Squeeze It, so I guess that's just what we're doing.
But no, he's like flapping his arms like he's a chicken the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that he also plays his sister,
Yeah.
who is also trapped in the Forbidden Zone.
Should we talk about the sister?
I mean, we
'cause
can,
Renee?
but there's
Is it
not.
Renee?
Yeah, Renee.
Yeah.
Well, because in Flash's words, it's a dude that dresses like a girl and he's a faggot.
Yeah.
And Squeeze It goes, no, she's my sister. Like, he's very adamant
Yeah.
that she's his sister. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. But then
Surprisingly-
calling him a cross-dressing faggot seems kind of not
Yeah.
cool at all.
Yeah.
Hey, Frenchie, you got a Kleenex? I got something stuck in my throat.
No, sorry.
Hi, Flash. Hi, Frenchie.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Flash told me you have a twin brother that disappeared behind the door in our basement.
It's not my brother, it's my sister.
That's your brother. He only acts like a broad. He's a faggot.
You're the faggot.
Do you think you will ever see your sister again?
You know, I think I've accomplished astral projection with my sister.
Banana oil.
Formidable alors! How fascinating! You'll have to tell me everything about it.
Well, last night, my mother was punishing me again, and I begged her to stop hurting me, but she wouldn't. And finally, the pain got so intense and unbearable that I felt like I was dying and leaving my body. And then I had this vision of my sister that was so real. I could see her as clearly as I'm looking at both of you right now.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know, it's like a problematic character. It's kind of like Redneck Zombies with the gay characters in that. Because it's like, okay, that's cool, you have a gay character as one of the main characters, but now they kind of switch back and forth between like being offensive about it and being like, no, she's my sister.
Well, 'cause they say that part first.
Right.
Where he says, oh, that's my sister. And I was like, that's surprisingly trans positive.
Right,
yeah.
But then they
Exactly.
just call him, no, it's just a dude, he's a faggot.
You're some faggot.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
I'm
well,
like,
now you
They
just...
completely negate the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, all right. Well,
I guess. And then later in the movie when they're escaping and they're held up because Renee is having pseudo-menstrual cramps.
This is so funny to me.
That was kind of funny because he's rolling on the ground and he drops the female voice. He's like, "God damn it!" Like,
God damn it!
Fuck! That was kind of funny.
That's another thing I do find genuinely funny about this movie is they don't try to maintain a voice for, because in the classroom the teacher is played by a man but dressed up as a female,
Right.
and at some points it's a man trying to do a woman's voice, but other times it's dubbed with a woman's voice.
Yeah.
There's just a complete lack of caring about any kind of continuity.
Yeah.
And I think that's funny, and they do it with Renee too. Like sometimes he'll be talking up here like a woman, but other times, God damn it! It's
Him rolling on the ground, bellowing, "God damn it!" kind of made me laugh. That was kind of funny.
so Hercules,
Flash and
Grandpa go to the Forbidden Zone to try to get Frenchie back.
They tried to recruit Squeeze It, but Squeeze It was like, "No, I'm not going."
He's the reluctant
he's a
hero
chicken.
because he's a chicken.
Chicken boy.
Chicken boy.
And so they go to the Forbidden Zone and they get kind of lost, and they run into the dad, right?
No, that's later.
Yeah.
Okay.
They go to the Forbidden Zone.
And hump every woman they see.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's another thing where they just randomly start humping women.
Yeah.
And, well, not even just women. They start humping each other. They just hump anything that is...
Anything that's standing.
Anything that's butt is towards them, they just grab and start humping for no reason.
Yeah. And
that happens.
There's another scene where Flash... I keep wanting to say Flash Gordon, but
I keep wanting to say Flash Thompson, and it's not Flash Thompson either.
Well, you're forgetting because they just call her Frenchie the whole time.
So there's another scene where I want to say Flash Gordon again. Flash Hercules.
Yeah.
He falls into this cell where they're keeping the ex-queen.
Yes.
Yes.
And he just starts humping her and like talking to her like they're having a regular conversation. And
she's talking like they're having a regular conversation. He's just behind her, humping her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then he's like, "Don't worry, I'll save you, Queen," while he's humping her. And I'm like, what is happening?
And he's like, just spin my magic hat, and it pinwheel hat, and they fly out. It's...
What I did think was funny is that, like, the second she got up out of that cage, she was just like, "Okay, bye."
Oh, yeah. I have to go change my Tampax. Bye.
Oh, yeah. She did say that.
And then leaves.
And while that's happening, Grandpa is beating a bear to death, or a gorilla.
A
gorilla. He's
like straight up crushing his fucking head into dog food.
They make a point of it to do close-ups of, like, it looks like they put canned tuna on, like, a gorilla suit.
He punches that gorilla's head so hard he turns to dog food.
Yeah.
And, like, repeatedly. And
still
Flash has to, like, pull him off. Of him just
this grandpa
this gorilla's head
is bloodthirsty.
Yes.
Maybe that's why he's tied up.
That's probably why he's tied up.
Kill everyone's gorillas.
We will have a shortage of gorillas.
Hashtag not my gorilla.
And so as they're kind of walking around the sixth dimension, they come across this Jewish man who's like a money changer.
Yes, they do.
And they're... I don't know if this is probably research I could have done, but is Richard and Danny Elfman, are they Jewish?
I think they are.
Okay.
I don't know.
Because I know the man who plays that old Jewish man is their grandfather.
Oh, in real life?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
I think they are.
Because the first time I watched this, I'm like, ooh, this is some weird, like are they making fun of Jewish people?
Yeah.
Or what's going on?
But it didn't seem like they were making fun of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it
like,
just...
they do blackface and they make fun of that. Yeah. They are pretty on the nose about what they make fun of and what they don't. Yeah. And this was kind of vague, so I don't think it was meant as an insulting thing.
Yeah, I think, again, doing a little more research on that, it seems like they're not making fun of them. It's just like, hey, this is a Jewish... But it is... They do kind of have like a little over-the-top...
Oy vey, oy vey, oy vey.
And apparently it comes out that the grandpa is an ex-professional wrestler.
Uh-huh.
Did it?
Yeah, because the old man is like, hey, I recognize you. You're the famous Jewish wrestler.
Oh, okay.
And again, like most things in this movie, leads to absolutely nothing.
No, just backstory, I guess.
Yeah.
Can you imagine taking your actual grandparent to the set of this movie and putting them in this movie?
My grandparents would have no time for this bullshit.
No.
They would have no time for it.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. He would... My
actual grandparent.
My grandpa would spit in my face, tell me what a disappointment I was, and walk out.
Yeah.
Mine wouldn't even do that. My grandma would just, because I only have one grandma left, and I would not put her through this, but she would just look at me, shake her head, and just walk away. That's
just leaving you with that.
Just leaving me with that disappointed head shake and just walk away.
So we also get some scenes of King Fausto and the Queen Doris just kind of having dinner.
Yeah.
And this
The mandolier. The mandolier.
That's my favorite character in this whole movie.
The mandolier is your favorite character.
Because he's well, that and Bustrod, of course.
Bustrod.
Yeah.
And he's playing like a kazoo.
Yeah.
And he's making like these weird noises, and he's holding candles with his
hands and
up
his
in the air.
feet.
Yeah.
And he's just hanging there.
And like they start getting all romantic, and he runs over and starts kissing her. And he like flips over to get a little look. He's a little stinker. He's a little stinker mandolier.
I don't even know what to say to the mandolier being your favorite character.
But then the most tragic thing happens is we cut back, and Mandolier's a skeleton.
Yep, a while later, skeleton. They don't explain the death of the mandolier.
No, he's just a skeleton.
He's just a skeleton now.
Well, maybe that's how death works in the sixth dimension.
I guess.
Well, backing up that statement is when the guy who's giving the queen the massage gets shot with the ray gun, just turns into a skeleton with a little fishbone in his belly. Yep. And then he dies.
That's another.
But he didn't leave behind a skeleton. He got completely vaporized.
He got phased so hard that his skeleton turned to sand.
There are no rules in the sixth dimension, man.
There's no rules in this movie. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Anything can happen for any reason.
Especially blackface.
Especially
blackface.
I will say, though, I think the scene where Squeeze is being led to the devil, there is blackface, but I'm 99% certain that guy is black.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he
still
is.
blackface.
Okay. I mean, sure.
Is it? But a black guy doing blackface?
No,
I guess it still is.
It is. Historically, there was a lot of black performers doing blackface in minstrel shows.
Yeah, I guess that is true.
They still paint their face blacker and do all the over-exaggerated facial features and whatnot.
He'd be cool with it, right? Because he's doing it.
I mean, I can't say.
I can't comment.
I'm not going to say.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the fact is that in this particular instance, good or bad, it's a black man in blackface.
Yes. You were just giving the straight facts.
I'm just giving the straight facts. I'm not
straight facts.
One of 3 instances of blackface in the movie. Yes, one of the performers is black.
Good. Yeah. Now that we've all covered our white asses.
Go I don't know how much longer I could do this.
One of 3.
And the other 2 times are both Huckleberry P. Jones, who is very much a white man.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think the second time he's sleeping with Ma Hercules.
Yeah.
And he's asking,
what time
is your retarded husband getting here?
Yeah. Your retarded Swedish husband.
Retarded Swedish husband.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one's a little harder to get around.
To justify.
And to just add more like context into why it's completely nonsensical. Why even have the black dude do blackface? Why? I don't
have the answers.
And it's such a short scene of a completely unrelated, like, okay, I guess there's Satan here is now.
Well, but also it's the Mystic Knights leading him, and all the other Mystic Knights have kind of like a bluish purple makeup on their face.
Zombies or something like that.
But then why is the one Mystic Knight that's black in blackface? You know, the more I think about it. Not okay.
No. Yeah, I think there's a certain element of this movie that's just like random.
Yeah.
Where it's just like
offensive.
Yeah, where it's just like Richard Elfman being like, "Oh, this will piss people off."
Him being cheeky.
Yeah. Which is always kind of like, come on.
Yeah. That's how I felt about this whole movie, though. It's just like, come on. Like, really?
This movie is probably the most edgelordy movie we've done so far.
Oh, it's definitely edgelordy.
Probably.
It's definitely. The sheer amount of fart noises in this movie
there's a lot.
Is
well, it's weird because it's edgelordy, but it's like immature edgelordy.
Yeah.
It's not like
it's a 12-year-old edgelord.
Yes. It's 2 sound effects short of a trauma movie.
It's the difference between, and there will be some people that get this and some don't. Anthony is an edgelord in middle school, as opposed to like Trevor as an edgelord in middle school.
Okay.
Trevor's more the forbidden zone, farty, retard, and Anthony's more like the dark, broody edgelord. So that's kind of the distinction there.
Yeah. Anthony was the, I'm going to light this grenade, or I'm going to pull the pin on this grenade, set it on the floor, and walk out. Yep. You all have to deal with it.
Yep.
Goodbye.
Yep. Trevor was the shitting in the Jack-in-the-Box bathroom going, retard. That edgelord.
I'm in
2 of my best friends, folks.
Oh, man. So, yeah, I mean, eventually Squeeze It gets up the courage to go to the Forbidden Zone and save everyone. And this is when...
We're not going to talk about what happens before Squeeze It decides to get his courage?
I don't even remember. Oh, the
scene, the chicken boy scene.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and so we see...
Well, first of all, when he's in the trash can, he's talking about his mom hurting him.
Yeah.
And him having visions of his sister.
Oh, yeah, the pain was so intense that he had like an astral vision.
An astral projection of his sister in
And then he fainted because the pain got so intense.
Yeah.
So it's like, whoa, something's going on with Squeeze It's home life.
Yep.
And then we get to Squeeze It's home life.
And it's just this empty room with him on a pedestal with some chickens. And he's like squatting like a chicken and flapping his arms. And we cut outside and we see who is Susan Tyrrell playing the mom.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And Joe Spinell from Maniac.
Is that who that is?
Yeah. The main guy
I
from
recognized
Maniac.
him, but I couldn't put my finger on it.
And they're all like they're kissing each other. They're about to figure some stuff out.
Yeah.
And she's like, "You want to see Chicken Boy?" She kicks the door open and starts hitting him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the saddest thing, he's just like, "I love you, I love you."
She pours a whole bottle of alcohol like all over him. Yeah. And then she's like, "You want to meet your dad?" And he's like, "Dad?" He's like, "You're not my son," and like fucking kicks him.
Punches him in the face.
Yeah. It's It's sad.
Yeah.
It's
And all the while he's saying, I love you.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, come on, squeeze it.
on,
Just be better.
Don't be such a chicken boy.
See, it's just weird because that's the only time they call him Chicken Boy.
Yeah.
The rest of the time they call him Squeeze It.
Yeah.
Besides the fact that he, flaps his arms like a chicken the whole time.
Chicken Boy seems like a more appropriate title than Squeeze It.
Squeeze It.
Henderson, do you think that was a deliberate choice to have his name be Henderson?
Oh, maybe.
Chicken Boy Henderson. I don't know.
You might be giving them way too much credit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or I can't tell with this movie. Maybe it's spot on.
Yeah, maybe it was intentional. Logic does not exist in this movie.
Nope.
No.
So yeah, the Joe Spinell, who's dressed in a sailor outfit, and Squeeze It's mom, they're like backing out. He's like, "Hey, we gotta go figure some stuff out. My ship leaves in a few hours," and she's like, "A few hours?
That's the life of a sailor."
It's like the ending of like a Tijuana Bible.
Yeah. Jesus.
You're gonna see your son in a minute. He just turned 11.
The freak are you talking about? Me, a kid? Ruthie, come on.
Oh, you're the one, okay? You big gorilla. You wanna see him, huh?
Yeah.
You wanna see Chicken Boy? Come on. Oh, Chicken Boy! You wanna see him? You wanna see Chicken Boy?
Yeah.
Oh, Chicken Boy!
That's really rich. Mom.
Squeeze It, meet your pop.
Dad? Thanks, your dad. Unless we have chickens in the family. Come here, baby.
Oh, yes. Oh. Oh, what are you doing, you big lug? Oh, I'm squeezing to help your mom.
Go, my mother. Hey.
Come here.
I love you.
Ah, shut up.
You're too much, baby. Come on, sugar. I got a hot on that won't wait. And the ship leaves in a couple of hours.
What do you mean a couple of hours?
Oh, that's a sailor's life, baby.
I love you. I love you, Mom.
And so Squeeze It starts talking to a chicken.
Yeah.
It's like, well, Squeeze It, you have to grow up sometime.
You have to stand up for yourself.
The most eloquent character in the whole movie is a fucking chicken.
Well, Davey, we'll...
It was a very Davey and Goliath moment.
Squeeze It and chicken. And so he gets the courage to go to the Forbidden Zone, and the kind of the transition between the real world, which is a baffling nightmare of horrors, and the Forbidden Zone, which is insane.
A baffling nightmare of horrors.
Nightmare of horrors. Is this like this animated intestine sequence?
Yeah, and then you come out of a big
cardboard
butt, and it farts, and
when you come out the fucking
you're on
butt
these,
end,
like poop-shaped pillows
the
that you land on.
pillows. I kind of liked the poop-shaped pillows. I was like,
that's the thing you like?
That's attention to detail. Just the right shade of brown. All right. I'm on board with the poop-shaped pillows.
Okay, let's get serious. So he falls out of this ass. And he comes to these doors, the doors in the Forbidden Zone where you, like, pick your fate or whatever. Mm-hmm. And this one flies open and someone punches him, knocking him out. And then the Mystic Knights come and grab him and take him away. And this is the whole scene where he's being led to the devil.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The animated sequence.
The animated sequence. And we see the princess who's always topless.
Always topless.
Always.
The pointiest nipples I've ever seen.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah.
Oh, super pointy.
Right.
It's weird.
Super pointy.
They seemed kind of like awkward nipples. They were...
Yeah.
Didn't seem quite right.
Yeah.
And it was so, like, triangular. Like, it was...
Well, they were big, and then they were pointy. It was like...
It
was an odd combination.
It's like she had realistic nipple pasties over her real nipples.
Yeah, right.
And it was
very pointy.
Very, very pointy nipples. Mm-hmm. That's the pull line for this movie. Pointy nipples.
Pointy nipples.
So they're leading him, and this is when that animated sequence happens, where they're walking towards this big like pillar of light, and then this animated title pops down, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter," or whatever. And then this is where we see Danny Elfman turning into a ham. He is hamming up all over the place, and it's fantastic.
He is the devil, and he's fucking loving it.
Oh man, it's like, now Danny, we don't want you to go too far overboard with this. And he's like, go overboard, I got it.
Like, no, Danny, you missed the first part. No, I got it. I'm gonna Jim Carrey the shit out of this role.
How many cartwheels do you want? Yeah. So I can do about 5.
I can do about 5. You're gonna get about 5.
You're gonna get 5 cartwheels.
Yeah, he really chewed the cardboard scenery in this one.
Yeah, he's like shucking and jiving, and the song is a take on Minnie the Moocher by Cab Calloway.
Okay.
And basically the song is saying, I'll let your friends go free, but you have to get me the princess.
Yeah.
And so that's what happens. And
is, it turns out, an incredibly easy task to complete.
Not hard. Not hard at all.
To the point where I don't understand why he can't just fucking send the Oingo Boingo Knights out and just get him himself. Or just walk out the door and get her himself.
You have a whole crew of Mystic Knights.
Yeah.
Mystic Knights.
A lot of them.
And you needed fucking Chicken Boy to go get the princess? This doesn't add up to me.
I mean, it's no exaggeration. Literally, Chicken Boy is like, oh, okay, I'll do that. Goes out into the hallway. The princess is right there.
Walking around.
He grabs her and just takes her back to Satan.
Just like, here you go.
Yeah, and
that was easy.
Yeah.
Did you notice that when he gets her and drops her off in the devil's lair,
she's doing the chicken thing? Arms. Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
I don't know.
Because I've seen this like 6 times in 2 weeks.
Poor bastard.
I just don't fucking stand.
I don't.
And I don't know what that is supposed to mean.
Is it like he transferred his chickenness to
I don't know. That's what I was thinking. Like, is it like a flu you can catch?
I don't know. Maybe it's like the fucking demon in what's that movie with Denzel? Fallen. Yeah, it's like the chicken demon from Fallen, where you touch somebody else and they start doing the chicken thing.
She has the chicken force now.
Yes.
I mean, us trying to.
I'm just picturing John Goodman squeeze it out to the woods, and him touching John Goodman, and John Goodman doing the chicken thing. That's the remake of Fallen I want to see.
God.
Oh man, it's just called Squeeze It Origins. Oh man, just John Goodman.
The most unnecessary thing.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes, I like that a lot. And so Squeeze It gets his head cut off.
Yeah.
And it's good. Yeah.
So is that the next thing that happens?
Yeah.
He brings to the princess.
That's the devil double cross. He's like, your friends are good, but I'm going to cut your head off.
Yeah.
And
well,
so
because you're gonna get the devil double cross.
Yeah,
That's
Danny Elfman in a white suit. Come on,
Yeah.
you're asking for a monkey's paw.
Now with the princess, is this after the scene with Bustrod
where
they're having sex?
Yes, because
there's
that's
so
when...
much random sex in this movie that I can't tell. But what
random
was that?
Dry humping.
Yeah, random dry humping. I guess it's not really sex.
Yeah.
But are we to believe that her and Bustrod have been having like an affair? Or is it just like kind of ran into each other and went, well, let's hump.
I mean, what else are we gonna do?
Yeah, everybody humps here, so...
Yeah, I mean, the way it's handled, like, when she notices that they're being watched, she's, like, freaking out, and Bustrod starts chasing.
She looks real bored at first, like, real bored.
Oh, yeah. She's not into it.
Not happening. Then why agree to it?
If this were not the 80s, she would be on her phone texting.
She was, like, checking her nails and stuff, kind of like,
Yeah. And yeah, so I think it's Flash, Hercules, and Gramps.
Yeah, they find them.
They find them humping, and the princess is like, stop them, and Bustrod chases them.
Yeah.
But not well.
No, nothing in this movie is handled well. Yeah, so what?
He gets his head cut off.
Squeeze It gets his head cut off, but he's not dead.
No.
He's still singing.
Yes, he's still talking.
Yeah.
Just kind of...
And
he's just ahead now.
The next time we see him, he has like eagle wings attached to his head.
Yeah.
And he's just flying around. And
because he's evolved from Chicken Boy to Eagle Head.
Oh, that's his final form.
Yep.
Yeah.
His power is over 9,000.
We've also kind of forgotten to talk about I would actually say the main plot of, like, what happened with Frenchie.
Mm-hmm.
Frenchie goes down, She meets the king. The king really likes her, locks her up. The queen gets jealous because she sees the king like spying on her because she thinks she's hot and French.
Yeah, hot and French.
And then, so the queen then takes her, locks her up somewhere else. The king saves her. The queen takes her again. It's a lot of back and forth.
There's a lot of not difficult kidnapping.
Yeah.
Like, they get her out, and then immediately the queen's like, no, go back. Go over there now.
Yeah.
Like, there's no effort.
Yeah.
It's just kind of,
It's like, I'm going to hide you in a dungeon. Now I'm going to hide you in a deeper dungeon. Now in a deeper dungeon.
And now I'm going to try to torch you with this electric dildo or whatever.
All down to that point where there's an electric dildo and there's a rape chamber.
Well, the electric dildo was before the rape chamber, right?
Was that not the same part?
No, I think that she was in the electric dildo room.
Oh, you know what?
And
That
then
was
they
right.
moved her down
Yeah,
to where
see,
the
this
rape
moves a
cages.
lot. There's a lot of kidnapping.
But
and
I
a lot
will
of...
say the scene with the electric dildo, or whatever it is, that was my favorite musical number, I think.
Okay.
Where the queen was singing to her about shocking her and stuff. It felt very Nightmare Before Christmas, that song.
Yeah.
Very Lock, Shock, and Barrel.
Okay.
I think that song is probably my least favorite.
Really?
Because it's too musical pitter patter for me.
Oh, I liked it. That was my favorite, I think.
Claus.
Yeah.
Kidnap the Santa Claus.
He was an electric dildo. If they kidnap Santa Claus in this, that'd be a very different movie. I want to see the Nightmare Before Christmas where they kidnap Santa Claus, take him to the sixth dimension.
I would like to see that a lot.
I think we know what our first real obscure production will be.
Yep.
The sequel to Forbidden Zone.
Richard Elfman, I know you listen.
You do, friend of the show.
You got nothing else going on.
He actually does.
He's doing a sequel.
He's doing a sequel?
Yeah.
I know he was doing a movie that was like really fucking weird, but I didn't know if it was a sequel to this.
It might be two separate projects,
Yeah.
but he definitely is working on a sequel to Forbidden Zone.
I bet you're stoked.
Oh no, it looks bad.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of green screen. It looks bad. It looks bad.
That's unfortunate.
And let's hope no blackface.
No. If he could avoid blackface completely, that'd be... It's not a hard thing to avoid.
No, it really isn't.
You have to try to get it in your movie.
Yes.
So,
And they tried.
Yeah.
They tried
Yeah.
to shove it into this movie where it
That-
did not
that-
belong.
They sure did.
That was the most lovingly applied blackface I've ever seen in my life. And it's uncomfortable.
Yes.
The thought.
Okay, so he gets his head cut off.
Mm-hmm.
She takes her to the deeper chamber. Old Queen shows up.
Mm-hmm.
New Queen and Old Queen have a showdown.
Yep.
Where there's just they're rolling around on the ground,
cat fight.
but literal cat noises.
Yes.
It just as they roll around on the ground.
I have a feeling Richard Elfman has a real dad sense of humor.
Yeah.
Where it's like, we gotta have some cat noises over
Get
this.
it? It's a cat fight. Women, am I right?
Yeah, yeah. It's that.
It is very
the whole,
women,
the
am I
whole
right?
sailor. Hey, it's a life of a sailor, baby. It's like, oh, come on.
Well, they're
man.
fighting, and then the mom shows up, right? Out of nowhere. The
That's
queen.
at the very end.
Yeah, I thought that's where we're at. Are we there yet?
Kind of. I mean, they have this fight, and Bust Rod. This is where Bust Rod tragically dies.
Yes.
He passes, and she's like, "My frog!"
Oh, that's right.
And the old queen has like this throwing knife, throws it at the new queen, stabs her in the hand. Who she takes that knife out, throws it at her.
Because it just squeezes
miss it,
its
and
leg.
No, Renee's.
It's Renee.
Renee's
Oh, no,
leg,
it was Renee,
And
yeah.
this is
His
one of those
sister.
weird like it hits her leg, and she's like,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, this is just cartoon bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, because at the beginning of that scene, there's like a cage with just a bunch of like
Middle
dudes.
Eastern guys making like habla babla noises,
Yeah.
and
But
I'm like,
they're also like humping.
yeah,
And
they're
then you
rape monsters.
Yeah, they're rape monsters because then you see a woman get like, oh, she's done with, and they just throw her into this pit with a bunch of spikes.
And then they throw her down a chute, which leads to like a punji pit.
And then
Because the queen's like, I'm going to put her in here to show you what's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
And they throw this woman in, and she is literally raped to death by these Middle Eastern stereotypes.
Which oddly enough sounds worse than it actually is,
Yeah.
because visually you just see a bunch of dudes kind of making humping noises and you don't even see her at all.
You see like a leg coming out of the group, and that's it.
I thought that they were humping each other. I mean, because they
Some of them
definitely
were.
are.
Some of them were. It was just a free-for-all.
They can't all be humping the same person.
Yes, I guess. So then Renee is next, but she seemed keen to get in there.
She's like, beat me, fuck me, kill me, and backs into the cage, and I guess
I have to believe that they got to the end of the movie and they're like, shit, we didn't wrap up Renee.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, let's just have her back up into that rape cage.
Yeah, and just love it.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it is. It's like, fuck me in the ass, and she's backing up ass first into the cage. It's like, oh, all right, bye, Renee.
All right.
That happens.
I don't know how I feel about that.
And so the queens are still fighting, but the old queen falls off the cliff into the punji pit. Mm-hmm. And then the
old queen does?
The new queen.
No, new queen gets shot.
I mean, the old queen.
Old queen does.
Yeah. The ex-queen falls into the punji pit. Mm-hmm. And then she's about to kill Renee, and then Ma Hercules comes to the rescue out of nowhere. We have not seen her for 45 minutes.
You didn't even see her go into the Forbidden Zone. She just
Last
shows
scene
up.
was her with Huckleberry.
With Huckleberry P. Jones.
Yeah.
Asking where the retard Swedish guy is.
Yeah. And then out of nowhere, she just walks in with a gun and sees the queen about to kill Frenchie and goes,
bang.
Bam.
And
she's like, oh!
There's when the queen gets shot, there's this great look she gives where it's like, and then she dies. Yeah. Or she falls down, and then
the king and
King Fausto come over and have this. And this is actually
touching moment.
I really think this is good acting on her part.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, why does it feel so good to be so bad? And it's like, okay, that's good. Yeah.
No, she's great in this weird fucked up movie.
Yeah. And she's like, I want to hear you say it one more time. He's like, I love to feel your nipples stiffen when I'm touching
and
him.
And he starts rubbing her nipples and she dies.
Yeah. And then she dies, she does a bleh, and then he just puts his hand on her. He goes to check her pulse, but he just puts his hand on her boob.
Yeah,
and he's like, oh my god, she's dead.
That's where the heart
That's where you
is.
check pulses, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's where the heart is, right?
Right. It's just in the tit.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that kind of leads to nothing.
Yeah, he pushes her into the pit too.
Yeah.
And there's actually this really good shot I like of King Fausto sitting on the edge of that cliff, and then Squeeze's head flies in, and then lands next to him. It's just this really interesting looking shot of him sitting there, and then Squeeze looking up at him. It's just a cool looking shot. And then this leads to the finale, this huge musical number where everyone comes back.
Huge is a word.
It's big.
Big for this movie. It's the widest shot in the movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And everyone who is dead comes back. Everyone that's been,
they're all singing about the Forbidden Zone.
It just kind of shatters any kind of remaining reality that the movie had. Which I think was interesting. It's just this whole overture kind of.
And Frenchie's singing about how she's in heaven because she's with Fausto now.
Oh yeah, and she's the new queen of the Sixth Dimension.
Yes.
And you're like, you just watched him kill his last two, or let his last two wives die. So maybe you shouldn't be so happy that you're with Fausto now.
We forgot an important part of that cat fight. That the old queen starts making out with the new queen.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Does she?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
They're rolling around on the ground, fighting, and then they have that moment where it's like, oh, I hate you. Oh, and then they start kissing.
I don't remember this at all. I must have been on my phone at this point.
But then the new queen uses that as an opportunity to throw her over into the pit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That happens.
That happens.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that in this episode.
I just remembered that part.
They succumb to their urges.
I guess.
In this universe where men hump everything and women just want to kiss everyone.
Well, because remember the queen's number, her first number, she talks about her dad told her that she'll never get a man, so she needs to find a wife. So she spent a really long time trying to
Oh, jeez, this movie's killing you.
Oh, God.
Well, she spends a really long time trying to find a wife. I'm dying right now.
Damn you, Richard Elfman.
And, but then she can't find a wife. So she keeps looking and then somehow gets down to the 6th dimension and finds Fausto.
That part's never explained.
Is that the same song where she talks about being hatched from a witch's egg?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was that song.
Which is another example of cool animation where her
head comes off.
Floats off and floats through space. But yeah, I mean, this movie kind of ends with this musical number where it's kind of like, this is the end of the movie, the whole company's there and singing, marching, and that's kind, and they all explode.
Yep. Yeah, everything explodes at the end.
Yeah. And that's the end of this movie, this complicated movie.
Roll credits.
So, as is tradition, we'll go around the table. Would you recommend it? Did
you like it? Would you recommend it?
Uh-huh.
And why do you think it's obscure? Yeah. Should I go first?
Sure.
No, because it's garbage. That's pretty much all I have to say about that.
Okay.
Brandon,
me?
No,
you go ahead.
Did I like it? No. Okay, if I actually want to get into it more, I like weird shit. Mm-hmm. I don't like shit that's weird because they're trying to be weird.
Yes.
With, like, zero purpose. And that's what this movie was. It was just like, they actually were thinking, like, what's the weirdest thing we can do? You know the South Park gag where they're like, how do you write a Family Guy episode? It's a bunch of fucking manatees and everything, like, just choosing balls. Like, this is a Mad Lib of a movie where some 12-year-old edgelord was just like, and then tits.
And then the princess is topless the whole time.
And then Satan. And then, and it's nonsensically weird for the sake of being weird. And I don't like that. No. So did I like it? No. Would I recommend it? No. Because of the blackface. Like, oh, God. Anyways, no. Is it obscure? Yeah, I mean, I'd never heard of it before, and it's like a black box. I can see how this is definitely a cult classic film.
I saw somewhere it referred to as the Citizen Kane of cult movies.
No.
So I'm like, no, I don't think so.
No.
Well,
if there was more, like, actual actors in it, like, the only two people that are actually, like, good, well, three. I'll say there's three people in this whole cast that are actually good. And that's Danny Elfman, who has one scene, the Queen, and the King. That's it.
Flash didn't do it for you?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Hey,
so, no.
Because it's garbage.
It's garbage, yeah.
It's garbage.
It's garbage.
Well, it's okay for both of you to be wrong.
Okay.
I've
been waiting for a while to hear your explanation.
I love this movie so much. Mm-hmm. It is.
Which parts do you love about this movie so much?
Hold on.
Why?
Hold on.
Okay.
It does have very problematic parts.
Mm-hmm.
I can admit that. There are stuff that shouldn't be in there, obviously.
Wait, which part shouldn't be in there?
So the blackface, the rape,
So like at least 30% of the movie?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. But this is a movie made by a guy who made a movie that he wanted to make. For better or worse, this is a movie he wanted to make. And he financed it on his own. He did his own thing, and he captured the spirit of something he wanted to capture. And again, I'm not saying that was entirely successful, but this was a movie on his terms. And I think that there's something to that, where he, in every interview I've watched with him, he wasn't willing to compromise. And I think there's something to that. There's, again, for better or worse.
Worse, though.
Worse. Definitely
like,
worse.
I get what you're saying, and I agree with you on that, because I love movies that are fucking their movie. That's what they went out to make. That's like Cannibal the Musical, I feel that way about. He went out, he wanted to make that movie, that's the movie he made. But this is like, don't. Like, make a better movie. Like, I get what you're saying about having, like, no compromises and this is my vision, but your vision is
garbage.
Crap.
I don't know, man. I think there's something about it where you could have a safer movie, a movie that makes more sense, a movie that's less offensive, but it wouldn't be as interesting.
It could be more interesting, I would argue.
I mean, any movie can be more interesting or less interesting, but this is such a unique movie. Can we say it's a unique movie?
I'll give it that. It is unique. It is. I've never seen a movie like this. But it's also, it goes back to what I said, where it's just like weird and offensive and all that shit, like just for the sake of it.
That's why I would argue it's not unique. Because it's just being weird to be weird, and being weird to be weird isn't unique. People have done that. And done that better, I think.
I mean, I think... I have to gather my thoughts.
It's like, just because something hasn't been done doesn't mean it should be done.
Right, but I think there's something to be said about the first of something.
But would you call this the first of something?
No, I'm not saying it's the first, but I'm saying it's unique, it's specific to... and from the start, he wasn't interested in making something that made sense. He absolutely was not interested in any of that. Because this started life as a series of musical performances, and he's just like, well, I mean, we can make this a movie of some sort and just add this loose little storyline that he really wasn't terribly interested in. But just to make a movie and just as a vehicle to these musical performances. And I think that's interesting to me. That's interesting.
Yeah. And coming from a theater background, I get that. Mm-hmm. Like, I get why that would be an interesting concept. I think my thing with it is it's gross. It's gross and it's dirty. Mm-hmm. And I think if it wasn't gross and dirty, it would be better. I really feel like that was a detriment to it. Because the whole time I'm watching, I'm like, this is unappealing visually. Like, I don't want to see this.
Grandpa throwing up in someone's lap in the first minute of the movie.
Even just the whole tone of it. Like, it feels like a John Waters movie that is grosser somehow. I mean, they don't have, Buster Rod eating dog shit. But, I mean, it just has a dirtier feel to it. And I also think... one of the biggest problems for me is the real world is just as crazy and psychotic as the sixth dimension. Yeah. So if you had the real world be more real, then the craziness of the sixth dimension would stand out more and it would make more sense. I think that was something that really... I was like, okay, so you're going from one shitty world to another shitty world. Like, I don't...
I that makes sense. There really is no difference between like one's a cartoon nightmare, the other's a cartoon nightmare, and there's no
with a frog butler.
With a frog butler,
yeah.
So I'm just interested. What do you like about Caligari that you don't like about this Forbidden Zone?
Well, I mean, surprisingly, I think Caligari had more of a narrative. Like this had almost no concrete narrative whatsoever. And Caligari was gross, but I feel like it was visually more interesting than this. Like, this had visually interesting things. Like, Bust Rod is interesting. The Mandolier is kind of interesting. One scene I forgot that kind of made me laugh is when the king is painting. Oh, yeah. And then it cuts to what he's painting. And it's like this big Betty Page-esque dominatrix painting. That was kind of funny. But I think Caligari... there was a point to it. Like, it was about sexuality and repressed sexuality and trying to, I don't know, untether yourself from those things. It's about inhibitions and losing inhibitions and whether that's right or wrong or good or bad. There was a point to it. Forbidden Zone's just nonsense with no point whatsoever. There's no theme to Forbidden Zone. It's just crazy shit happens and fucking... it looks bad, and that's just all it is. Like,
I think that's... Go ahead.
I agree. You have to really stretch to assign any meaning to this movie at all. And, like, I can also understand what you're saying about how, like, you know, he didn't compromise on his vision. But when this is your vision, maybe you should have
a little bit. Like, even Matthew Bright was like, they should have reined me in a little bit because they got out of hand.
Yeah, I think I think from the inception of this movie, the whole idea was there's no meaning behind this.
Right.
So I think it's kind of Caligari and this movie are on the opposite ends of the same coin. Mm-hmm. Where Caligari does have some themes it's dealing with, but it has that aesthetic of this is all very purposefully
bizarre
fake and bizarre and gross. And gross. And there's one more word I'm looking for.
Gritty?
No. Like fake. Whatever.
Surreal?
Okay.
Surreal, artificial. Artificial.
Yeah.
Purposefully artificial, whereas Caligari is like, yes, we're dealing with like sexual repression and sexual liberation. Forbidden Zone is like, no.
Yeah.
This is about nothing.
Yeah.
And good luck.
And I think that's the problem I have with it. It's about nothing.
I think that's what I find appealing about this movie is it could be played in the background and just be like visuals. Like you can have it projected on a wall.
But
and
they're
just
gross visuals. They're not visuals you want to look at.
I mean, I like the visuals. I enjoy the visuals.
I don't see the appeal of watching a 60-something-year-old Jewish man hump his grandpa.
Well, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like the sets.
Yeah, the sets are cool. Mm-hmm. I'll give you that. Cool enough.
Like the animation is cool.
The animation's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think this it definitely has some sets, and the animation are the stronger suits. That and the music.
Well, because he hasn't really done shit after this, right?
Yeah, he's done a few things.
Has he?
Yeah.
I'd be more interested to see those than this again.
I think they're all kind of on the same.
Because, like, I feel like he could go the way of Voldemort, the name we do not speak on this show, where if he takes certain things from this experience and builds on those, it could be good. Mm-hmm. But if he takes the wrong things and builds on the wrong things like Voldemort did, then it's just going to be stupid nonsense garbage.
Yeah, I'm looking up his filmography right now, and nothing... He did Streets of Rage.
Streets of Rage? The video game?
No, he did...
I didn't know there was a Streets of Rage movie.
Yeah. Might not be the same one I'm thinking about. But yeah, a lot of TV movies. His newest one, it looks like... and I think this might be... The
pseudo-Forbidden Zone sequel. What's it called?
Hipsters, Gangsters, Aliens, and Geeks.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking at.
And
I didn't know it was tied to Forbidden Zone at all.
It might not be.
It looks really bad.
Yeah.
It looks really bad.
It looks bad.
It looks like he took the worst parts of Forbidden Zone and went, let's ramp these up with new technologies.
Oh God!
If he's keeping that same aesthetic and the same point of view, it's like Trauma. That wasn't meant to survive into the 2000s.
Right. I think that if he was to do another thing in this same vein, even though it's not my thing, fine. But the most appealing thing about it is the hand craftsmanship of the movie, and now he's replacing that with green screen.
Yeah,
so it's like, well, wait, you're taking the one thing that was even kind of charming about your movie, and you're just throwing it out the window for green screen because it's cheaper and easier, and it's like, well,
yeah,
dude.
The stuff I've seen of this newer one is that same exact thing. It's it's almost exclusively green screen, and it's Richard Elfman dressed as a clown.
Yeah,
and he's just kind of like dancing around. It's like, oh,
it's not even cheaper or easier.
Yeah, it's
than making a cardboard set.
Yeah, you would still need like 3D animators to make backdrops and shit.
Yeah, so. I think the issue here is he had a lot of people helping out with the Forbidden Zone, and everyone's like, we got stuff to do now.
It's like when you're trying to make movies in high school or just out of high school, and everybody's on board, and then you like if we tried to do one in our early 30s, everyone's like, I got fucking kids, man. I got kids and a job.
Unless you're paying, man.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Not interested.
Yeah, because I know we're almost at the end here, but Frenchie, the woman who played Frenchie, who was also Richard Elfman's wife, Marie Pascal Elfman, she built all the sets. She did it herself and decorated everything. So
I can see that. Even the butt, the big butt.
I think it stands to reason she probably did the big butt.
Yeah. What about those poop pillows? I want to order some poop pillows for the house.
Some genuine
Forbidden Zone poop pillows. We didn't even talk about the boxer guys.
God, I mean,
yeah,
that's
the Kipper kids.
Oh yeah, I guess we did talk about
the Kipper kids
and how British they were.
I'm telling you, look up.
As soon as I get home today, I'm looking up the Kipper kids.
And you tell me that's not the most British shit you've ever seen.
I've seen a lot of British shit.
Oh,
TLDR.
Well, and then this just popped into my head because we were talking about British shit. Something that's kind of in the same vein that I do like is the Mighty Boosh.
Okay.
And a lot of their stuff is like handcrafted, weird, surreal sets, but it still has a narrative. I think that is the thing that kills this movie for me. Because I can watch something like Mighty Boosh, and it's weird and stupid and surreal and goofy, but there's at least a story for that 20-minute episode. And something like Caligari has like a story for the 90-minute runtime. Forbidden Zone just doesn't have that. It's just it's vignettes of nonsense tied together by other nonsense.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. Yeah, I just thought of that comparison off the top of my head, but
no, I get it. I get where you're coming from.
You get that I'm wrong.
I get that you're wrong.
Okay,
differing opinions.
That's fair.
That is what it is.
So we wrapping this up?
I think we're gonna wrap it up.
So I'm assuming next week we're doing Judgment Night.
I mean,
if Anthony doesn't get pulled away by his real podcast.
Yeah, if Anthony can stop throwing up the idea of watching a movie with black people in it.
Yeah. He's
so balls in your court, Anthony.
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, it's got Cuba, so I don't want you being pissed through the whole runtime. You gotta reel that in, man.
Yeah, man. You gotta. I mean, I know.
Real talk right now.
We started the episode with this, but man, you gotta stop calling. Like the other day, we were out in the kitchen, and he walked by and stubbed his toe on the couch.
Right.
And he called the couch the N-word.
Yeah.
Hard R?
Yeah.
Yeah, real hard R.
Always
a hard R.
I imagine, like you said about Hugh in the Elves episode, Anthony uses the N-word in traffic, right?
Oh, all the time.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
He's that guy.
Yeah, he's like,
okay.
Oh, this fucking N-word.
Yeah.
Of course, it's an N-word, but it's just a white guy.
Yeah.
And, I think we have to...
We need to have a talk with him.
We have to have a
first
talk
of all.
with him.
Intervention, really.
I think given his temperament, because we at this apartment, there's 3 people living here. He hits Kai.
Full of rage, I'd imagine.
Like, it's...
Like like that Chicken Boy scene? It's pretty much like that.
It's pretty much like that.
Yeah. Just Anthony pouring alcohol in Kai's face and laughing and hitting him and calling him the N-word.
You want to see him? You want to see Soy Boy? And he gets the door open, and he starts hitting him.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Kai's telling him I love you the whole time.
It's a bummer. And
that sounds rough.
Yeah. And I'm just in my room on my phone like 9-1 and waiting for like a gunshot. And like,
how close are we to a domestic violence situation?
Okay, anyway, we gotta go.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys next week with maybe Judgment Night.
Maybe Judgment Night. I guess we'll see.
Hey,